of the Aspect project, and you may have heard about it yesterday. So we did this work, with partners in the Aspect project at the University of Leeds, where I'm based. It was conducted last year, and really it was all about trying to understand how or whether weather or climate information is actually used in organizations in different sectors across Europe. So first of all, who did we survey? And I just want to go over some of the criteria we used for screening out respondents of this survey. So at the beginning of the survey, we asked, whether the respondent is actually, in the organization that they work for, is sensitive or impacted in some way by weather or climate. And we also asked individuals their level of experience in the field, just to make sure that we were getting relevant data and we were talking to the right people. This gave us a sample of about 1,800 respondents. So in terms of where they were coming from, where they're operating, we got good representation across a wide range of European countries, very strong representation, particularly from countries with larger populations and economies, so France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK. Also quite a lot of representation from Portugal through our networks. So I should just say quickly, the data was collected working with a sample recruitment company, Qualtrics, who also helped set up the survey, and also through our own links and networks across Europe. As you can see, 9% of organizations came from Denmark. We think this is probably to do with the links that the company we were working with had with Danish organizations. So just to sort of highlight why that was a slight anomaly there. But generally, very good representation, we thought. We were very happy with our sample. In terms of the types of organization, mostly private companies, particularly large companies, lots of employees working at national, multinational level. And then in terms of sectors, hopefully you can see that there. The main sectors that were represented were the manufacturing, construction, transportation, and sort of information and communication sectors. And then you combine those four sectors together, that represented over half of our sample. So, very diverse representation. Within that, the lower bars, you have agriculture, water as well. They are well represented. We also, so we then went on to ask respondents how far into the future that they're actually thinking about planning and making strategic decisions around investments. Around about 90% plan from this 1 month to 10-year period. And within that, 20%, the most common range was between 2 and 5 years. So that obviously indicates that there's a wide variety of sort of strategic approaches to managing risks and adapting to climate risks. Okay, so now getting into sort of the survey proper, we asked respondents which weather trends and events are their organization actually most significantly impacted by. So we asked them to choose out of a list of 35 different possible events or trends. And extreme heat came up as the most cited at 15%. So they had to choose one. Yeah, this wasn't multiple choice. And then 8% through heavy rainfall. So maybe not that surprising, these results here. And then 6% was the kind of generally that warming trend. Interestingly, each option was selected at least 10 times, indicating a wide range of sensitivities across organizations. And then in terms of how they were actually impacted, this time they could select multiple options, but people came back as the most cited option at 43%. Then, so things like customers and staff, and then premises, so maintaining buildings, and then processes, around about a third of respondents. So things like service delivery and production came back as sort of key impact areas. Okay, so information use, this is the kind of key area, the main area that we looked at in the survey. Do you use, so yeah, you're sensitive to climate, but do you use weather or climate information? That's what we asked respondents. And 77% said they are actively using weather or climate information in their roles. And then that kind of those that don't currently use information, 52%, so over half, said that they believe they might need such information in the future. So altogether, that's nearly 90% that either use or see potential value in using information in the future. And then again, that we asked those that have no interest currently in using information why that was, and they said essentially over half said it wasn't required currently in their roles. So I guess that might change in the future. And then Some said it was expensive and maybe they were struggling to see how it could be useful in their organization. So look, clearly massive demand and current use of information currently across Europe, you could say from those findings. In terms of the types of information, weather forecast information is still used predominantly, you would say. So 62% said they use weather forecast information, maybe on top of maybe some climate observations, maybe some forecast information. Interestingly, still 17% only use weather forecast information. There's still a lot of organizations out there that really are not using climate scale, or, looking at the climate scale. I'm having to go through this quite quickly, so apologies, not picking up everything. In terms of the providers, where they're getting the information from, Met services come up highly, so score quite highly across all types, especially weather forecast information, and private companies clearly play a role, particularly for sort of tailored services at the kind of future climate, sub-seasonal, interannual sort of timeframes. And that would correlate with this other finding that we had, that over 70% actually pay for the information. So they don't get it from maybe a public sector provider. Okay, and so this is the final question I just wanted to discuss, which is around sort of user satisfaction. So we asked respondents, how could the service, the information that they receive, how could that service be improved? And around about 75% said that it's the understandability, how easy it is for them to really contextualize, within their organization, maybe the presentation, the way it's communicated to them, that they felt like could be improved. And then in terms of the information itself, kind of familiar feedback, like the reliability, the accuracy of the forecast, the information, being unsure about the credibility of it, perhaps. And then things like being able to access the information when they need it, and it being regularly updated, again, came back as some area of improvement. And then the final question was around confidence. So to what extent are they confident in the information that they're using, that it's of a high quality? And again, quite positive responses here. So 70% expressed either confidence or high confidence in the relative quality of the information they use. Okay, so in summary, and apologies if I've overrun a little bit. In summary, yeah, European organizations are affected by a wide range of weather and climate conditions. Weather information is more commonly used than climate information currently, but there's clearly some demand there, growing demand in the area of climate forecasts. And then in terms of providers, it's mainly Met services and private companies, as you might expect. So, and again, in line with previous surveys and previous work around sort of areas of improvement and usability, understandability, communication is clearly a key area of improvement. And then the kind of reliability, perceptions of reliability and accessibility and timeliness as well are key quality criteria. Okay, so that's me. I'll leave it there. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. There will be opportunity to ask Sam some questions during the group work, because he will be around and, so to say, hovering around the tables as well. I now want to invite Jorge Paz to the stage, who is going to be sharing some information around formal standardization initiatives, a key component in advancing on the quality edge of climate services. So Jorge, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elko. So this is for moving the slides. Okay, so I am Jorge Paz. I am working in Work Package 1, a Climate Euro 2 project. And one of the goals of this work package is to analyze the standardization initiatives in order to standardize climate services. So what I am going to present here is the activities and what we have learned in the last months about the initiatives that are going on. So first, I want to start from the European Commission and the European organization, the European Standardization Organization. We were contacted by the European Commission in order to review a mandate that was initially intended to review 35 norms for including climate change. And we suggested to include also the development of a norm for climate services. This has been accepted, So a mandate is going to be set by the European Commission, indicating CEN. CEN is the European Normalization Organization, that a standard for the development of climate services has to be set. No? Indeed, there is a call for experts already launched for the involvement in this future working group that will define the standard, and anyone can participate through the national standardization bodies. At this time, what we have done is participate as individuals in this, or to suggest to participate as individuals in this initiative. But in the long term, maybe what we will try is to establish an agreement and try to channel all the learnings that we have into Climate 2 to the group. And at the same time, we know that there was a preview mandate from the European Commission ordering the standardization organizations to work on the issue of climate change into standards. That is a very powerful instrument, as we have been commenting during the sessions. And we also know that the adaptation to climate change coordination group, that in some way is going to coordinate these activities and support these activities, is already being launched or relaunched. And we are also planning, and we are trying to contact them to provide our support in that regard. So this is in some way a change in our initial plan. In our initial plan was to develop from the project a kind of a standardization activity. And what is the good news is that this is in the plans of the European Commission, and will be developing the framework of CEN. And regarding the other point, the first point, the review of the 35 norms, so I think this is under discussion. We have been discussing during all days that sometimes standards are also a barrier for implementing climate change, that the engineering practice, the design practice is also limited because it is regulated by norms and by standards. And in the way that climate information is being demanded, this could be also an important driver for the development of new climate services. Okay? So this is from the European arena, let's say. And on the other hand, in the international arena, in the ISO, following the ISO, the International Standardization Organization, we are also following several groups. The most interesting for us is this long name that we have on the screen, and some of the initiatives that are going on are the development of a new version of the ISO 14092 norm. There is a norm, or there is a family of norms about climate change adaptation. It's the 1490 family. The first one is on adaptation, the 91 is on climate risk assessment, etc. There is like a full family of norms on climate change adaptation. What we are suggesting now, the climate service potential standard from Climate Euro 2, and our vision is that maybe that concept of a family of standards will work for standardizing climate services. Maybe a first norm can standardize what are the guidelines, the principles, the definition, and then different components of climate services will be standardized in the future with specific norms. So going back to what ISO is doing, the norm on adaptation to climate change for local government is being reviewed. It's now like a technical specification that is not like a full standard, and it's going to be in some way upgraded, or there are plans for upgrading it to a full standard, let's say. There are different documents that are being prepared in some terms that I think that are really of interest for all us, like resilience. I am going to try to finalize quickly, but the point is that some points like uncertainties, risk assessment, thresholds, adaptation capacity, and all these terms that we use a lot in our meetings. There are different initiatives with different level of agreement, and ISO is also asking experts who wants to work on that topics that you have on the screens. Again, if you want to participate in this initiative, the way of doing it is contacting your national standardization body, and then they will propose you as expert for different groups. So this is very briefly a summary of what is going on, and we will continue tracking this and see how we can take advantage of the things that are happening in this arena. So thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. So again, Jorge is around. Actually, he will be leading one of the working groups in this room in the next hour or so. So he's available for questions there and then. And I want to invite Isadora Jimenez from Lobelia Earth, who will guide us through the group work process. So we have, two knowledge inputs as presentations, one from Sam on user perspective, the user perspective, and then from Jorge on what's happening on the standardization front, all key elements in the quality discussion around climate services. Now we're going to invite you to do some group work, and we have some very precise instructions for that. But Isadora is much better equipped than I am, so over to her.
Thank you very much. So it's just 3 minutes, just explaining you how it goes. So we wanted to do a participatory exercise. This is the third day, early in the morning. We have been doing these World Cafe activities, but we want to go a bit even beyond. We want you to stand up, and basically we want to engage you in a discussion further on what Climate Europe 2 discussions have been having in the last year. And we want to brainstorm together. We want to have discussions together, and we want to hear your inputs, your perceptions on some of these key insights that Asun was presenting at the beginning of the festival. How we will do this? You will have to stand up. You will see that we have flip charts, 4 corners, and we are going to have 4 key topics that we will be discussing and that we will be hearing your voices for. On that corner, and at the end, will be Jorge Paz and Tecnalia, here, in user-driven knowledge about climate services. Then Andreas, he will be there. We will hear your ideas and your visions on which are the criteria and indicators for high-quality climate services. Myself, I will be here, and I want to explore with you about which are the value of standardized climate services. Where do we see the value, which is linked with some presentation this morning. 90% people see a value. Which is this value? We want to hear that. And finally, Grit will be on the other side there, and she will be hearing your voices on how climate services can be effective through equity. How we are going to be doing this is not a work affair. This is a technical nominal group technique. So over half an hour, you're going to be choosing your preferred corner, and you're going to have kind of homework. You will have first 5 minutes on doing an individual brainstorming. Which are your ideas? Which are the things that come to your mind for that topic? Then you will have 10 minutes to be sharing with the group with you about your ideas without opinion, without interrupting each people there being able to put and explain these ideas, with additional 10 minutes that you will be able to have a group discussion. I have the same idea. They are clustered together. They could have a better concept that is putting them together. Or if there's a missing idea that once you read everything is the obvious message missing. And finally, there will be final 5 minutes for voting, prioritizing, which are the 3 most important to you, where you sit, if you are a private company, if you are academia, or if you are a practitioner. So you will be doing this during 30 minutes. Asun, Elko will be hard, the police of time. We only have 30 minutes for this discussion. And then you will be asked to leave your corner and choose the other one that you prefer one, and you will be doing the same dynamics. But this time, you will be working on top of the work of the previous work. So you will see which are the new ideas that you can bring, or which are the ones that are there that you find most important ones. So that's it. It's just everyone, please stand up. You know which are the 4 corners, choose, and we will be starting. Thank you very much. Yes, I can go back. You have them. Yeah, exactly. There are only going to be 2 sessions, so you have to choose which is the most important for you first, and which is your second one, or just choose to move depending on how you see the team working there.